Welcome to the Talking Library. We have a collection of inspiring and motivational stories of real people for you. Today, we have Norma Nicholson. If you go to Norma's website, you can see that she's a youth advocate and a mental health expert for young people. But do you know she is the person who developed Ontario's first healthcare program for incarcerated youth? Welcome, Norma Nicholson. Welcome to the Talking Library. You know what? It's so strange. I connected with you just 5 minutes. I just think that you have so much to offer. I want to bring you over here to share your life experience, and hopefully others can get inspired by what you have. Tell me more about what you do. Where are you located?
So I'll start by when I came to Canada many years ago to work as a nanny in a home. I worked with that family for 2 years, and what I really loved about them is that they encourage to have education. So while I work in the daytime, I attended Harvard Collegiate 2 nights per week to gain more education, because when I came to Canada, I had like a grade 9. The point I want to express is that no matter what your background or your education, your mind is limitless. So there's always opportunity to grow. When I was a little girl, I always wanted to be a teacher. When I finished my grade 13, I volunteered in the hospital on Sundays and realized the wealth of warmth and quality that the nurses brought for their patients. And then I decided I want to become a nurse. So my first job was at the hospital for sick children.
Yes.
And I was a registered practical nurse.
Right.
I loved my patients. I would do anything for those toddlers and baby.
Right.
And one evening I was on duty and I felt a tap on my shoulder, and I turned around to see it was my evening supervisor, and she says, "Norma, what are you doing?" As an RPN back then, you were not allowed to do anything with intravenous medication tube.
Okay.
But this 2-year-old, his tubing was getting dry. And so I fixed it so that the fluid would continue flowing while the registered nurse was very busy down the hall.
Yeah.
I was just about to go and tell the registered nurse what I had done when the supervisor said, "What do you think you're doing?" and And I explained it to her, and then she said, "Tomorrow afternoon, before you come to work, you need to stop by the admin office. We want to speak with you." And I thought, I did not sleep that night. I went into work the following day. My manager was in a back room, and she came out and she said, "Norma, it is all over this hospital, the wonderful way you take care of these little ones. Would you like to go back to school to become a registered nurse?"
Oh my goodness.
Instead of smiling, I just cried.
Oh, I wouldn't know how to respond. I would think like, can you tell me one more time? Oh my gosh.
At those times, you go to the colleges to become a registered nurse. The universities were not accommodating at that time for nurse students. So I went to George Brown College. All my tuition was paid. All my books were paid for. And the only thing I had to promise was to come in and work on a weekend when I did not have exam. And also when I finished successfully, to come back and work for at least 2 to 3 years. What a joy that was.
That feeling of being recognized, like the inside reward that you feel that you're appreciated.
And you see, when you don't think you're doing well and someone tells you you're doing well, And you're also rewarded because you never think that what you're doing is not just routine. And so I was committed to come back and work. And I worked at the hospital for sick children on a variety of areas for 16 years.
My goodness.
After I had left the hospital for sick
Yes.
children, I worked at about 3 other facilities because someone has always asked me, can you come and work with us to develop programs for children? Yeah, so
Okay.
that's how I moved from one hospital to the next. And then I was working outpatients, ambulatory care in a rehab hospital. Really enjoyed it, but getting routine. It was too much of a routine for me. I find I wasn't learning new things. So I looked at the computer one day, just browsing through the internet to say, wonder if a job will pop up. And I saw this job that says an RN is required to develop health care for incarcerated youth in Ontario.
Wow.
And I thought, I know about incarceration of children, but here is an opportunity to collaborate not only with the government, but with stakeholders, parents, youth. And I thought, I will apply for this job.
My
And
goodness.
I went for the interview. And as I was leaving the interview, and I said to the chairperson of the panel, I hope to hear from you today because you will not find anyone else that is so enthusiastic about doing this job.
Wow, the belief in yourself,
So, Christine, I got home and I think they called just one of my referee. I was offered that job in 4 hours after the interview. When I told my nursing colleagues when we were having coffee what I had done, and they say, no, you can't do that. You're wasting your nursing skills. And I say, but these are incarcerated children that need excellent health care, or they will not be able to heal from the trauma, from all the things they have gone through in life. And so when I left that employment, they wished me well, but they thought that I would fail.
You
No.
thought differently though. You were able to see the opportunity.
Yes.
And you know it's gonna work because you have the knowledge, you have the passion, and you have the skills.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked and collaborated with physios, social workers, mental health nurse, physicians, psychiatrists.
So it's very much like the wraparound program now.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. I would go to a conference and I would see a psychiatrist speaking maybe about trauma or suicide. I looked around and no one gave him water. He was coughing away as he spoke. And because I was near to the podium, I just poured him a glass of water and he looked and he thanked me. When the session ended, he came down and he said, thanks again. And I said to him, have you ever considered working in custody with children? And he says, no, but tell me some more. And he is still working at that facility 12 years later because his heart was drawn to seeing what psychiatric needs those young people have that were not addressed at all. Yes. And so I collaborated with as many individuals as I could, including parents, and we developed a wonderful health care. And the facility I can name because it's still going today. It's called the Roy McMurtry Youth Center in Brampton, RMYC. Parents, here is my book. Can you see it behind me? Young Lives on the Line.
Mm-hmm.
That as a tool after I retired to teach parents about preventing their children from getting involved in the justice system. That age is the most difficult age to grow and to change and body development and taking on responsibilities. Some young people do not have the full support of their parents to do that. So children are most often sent to school hoping the school will help them, but it often does not turn out that
Not
way.
enough, never enough.
Yeah, they're not comfortable with managing conflict. Going to school and behaving the way it's expected in a classroom. So then they just spiral down into becoming involved with the justice system. And that's what I really like is you prevent it. You help the parents, you help the teachers, you help the community. Because I can recall before COVID, I was speaking at a library to parents and young people and some librarians. And what the librarians say, these children, they come in from school, they rush into the library, they throw the books all around. I want to learn some way to help them because I'm tired of them doing that, and I pick up after them. And the librarian was so surprised when I said to her, for your first meeting with young people, ignore the books. Just say, hi, John, or hi, young man. How was your day at school? Tell me about it. So you're welcoming them with such warmth as opposed to criticizing the behavior you're seeing.
So glad that you mentioned that. And I'm so glad that we have people like you to educate the general public how to go down to their level, try to understand where they're coming from. It could be a cultural clash. It could be other reasons, the underlying, reasons that people don't look at. I remember I was like that too, working with you in the library. And the librarians or the library say, we have kids, we have teens that come in and trash the library. And I remember I got a blank piece of paper, like huge drawing paper. I just color, and then the teens will come and hang out. The relationship, the bonding, and empower them to be responsible for what they are and who they are and where they are is so powerful. You don't have to tell them what they did wrong. You just tell them what they did right. You build that relationship.
I love that.
Yeah, and we just hang out and listen to them. They don't have voices. We as an adult tell them, you have to follow this. Like, what about their rules? Have you ever checked out their rules? What is their rules, right? So I'm so glad that someone speaks for that as an advocate for a teenager and tell people, they have a voice that needs to be listened.
Here's an example where a parent could manage a situation in a different way. I share this in the community all the time to see what the parent would say. So I meet with a parent group, and the example is a 16-year-old male comes in from school. He's home by 3:34, and he's excited. He says, Mom, tonight we're having a party. At lunch today, we just realized that Alfred's birthday and we almost missed it. And instead of Mom saying, well, tell me more about that, Mom says it's a school night. You go up and you do your homework and you come down to supper later. You cannot go to a party during the school night. And so Johnny went up to his room. He was too upset. He did no homework. He cried because he felt embarrassed. He had told his friends that his mom would say yes since it was only 1 hour. And then he did not come down for supper. So of course his mom became more upset to say he's being disrespectful. And then I asked parents, what is a different way you would manage that situation? Just by saying, tell me more. So Johnny would have said, Mom and Dad, today, when we realize it was Alfred's birthday and we don't want his birthday to go by without recognizing him, can you imagine, Mom? He just lives 2 blocks away from us, and I didn't know that. So we got together at recess and we all did our homework.
Oh,
We know that when we come home, we could say, Mom, it's just next door. Here's the phone number. Is Mom and Dad are going to be at home? We did our homework, and you didn't allow me to say anything. How different and valuing that would have been for that teenager to be able to go and say, hi, my mom says I did good today, and be home on time. And then the following day, he's meshing with his friends again. So like you say, we need to give them their voices. We as parents want the best for our children, but we do not always have all the answers. They have many answers and questions inside of them.
oh yeah, they are very smart, and especially nowadays with the technology and then the resources they can get into. I mean, they're growing faster than before.
Since I retired, I have spoken to high school children, public school. I've spoken to new police officers. I have talked to parent group. I've even gone to synagogue and mosque. And I have gone to parents' home where I sit on the carpet with them. They talk about a situation that has been happening. And then we bring the teenager in to talk about how he sees the situation. It is like day and night because there is no relationship and there's no honoring of the voice of those young people. And it's amazing when they work together because they love and depend on each other. That's when you see the change. I say to parents, when your children were born, you did not have a manual.
Oh
You did
yeah,
not have
no.
a manual to follow step by step.
Yep.
And you learn how to love and take
Yep.
care of your children.
Yep.
In certain cultures, mom says you do this and you do that. And instead of saying, what would you like to do, John? Or you go out and you say, I'm so proud of my son. Yes, you ought to be proud, but is John proud of himself? He is the one that should be proud so that he does not have to be trying to meet his parents' needs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to bring the focus back. I want to learn a little bit more about your life journey.
I could go all the way back. Very briefly, I was born on a Caribbean island to a single mom, and she did not know what to do with me, so she left me on the sidewalk in a box and disappeared.
Well, that's part one of Norma's interview. In part two, Norma will share with you how she left her country and her relationship with her mother. I will see you there.